You're listening to a Comics XF podcast.
Matt Laswitz, and welcome to this week's episode of Bat Chat with Matt and Will, a Batman ranking podcast, where each week my co-host Will Nevin and I dig into 3 Batman stories, discuss them, and rank them on the big board, thus creating a giant list of Batman stories from best to worst. Will, how's it going tonight?
Go, Matt, as always, it is going. Should I start with the movie that we both saw or the movie that I just saw?
Why don't you start with the latter, and then we'll go into the one we both saw.
Yeah, that would make sense, wouldn't it? So, I saw a Jackass. It's time. It's time to call it quits. The gang is quite old at this point, and they literally cannot do the stunts they have been doing for the last 25 years. And it shows. And I'm not surprised that ultimately this project became more of a retrospective and, a clip show of a movie. So in terms of making me laugh, it was not as good as the previous installments. But in terms of putting a final chapter on the Jackass saga and showing that even outside of Knoxville, the cast is, relatively minorly famous, but even a bunch of dudes who have some amount of money and fame will have the same problems that any other bunch of dudes have. Knoxville is basically disabled. Bam Margera is estranged, and Ryan Dunn is dead. And so it was really kind of like this common sort of subtext of, yeah, that's about how life is. Even if you're getting hit in the nuts and you can't get hit in the head anymore. So it was not a bad time. It was cause for more introspection than the rest of the Jackass movies.
Not what one would expect from a Jackass movie, but I guess from everything that the trailers have indicated, yeah, I can see that.
And as far as like the stunts go and the thing just kind of showing the threads getting a little bare, all of the stuff was controlled. Like all of it was on set, and they just can't do dangerous stuff like they used to. And not even so dangerous as much as like getting kicked in the head or something. But like the first movie had 2 bits that were just perfect. Knoxville rented a car, declined the insurance, and then did demolition derby, and then tried to take the car back. Hilarious of how the poor car rental guy reacted to it. Second, did a boxing bit with Butterbean, in that they went into a department store and Butterbean knocked Knoxville the fuck out. There was nothing like either of those 2 bits in this movie because those were of a different era. But again, not a bad time.
The movie I saw that you didn't was The Furious, a Hong Kong action movie. If you want to watch the best fight choreography you will see this year, go and see The Furious. It's that incredible Hong Kong kung fu. I'm not sure what the proper martial art is. I believe it's kung fu, but I could be wrong. The Hong Kong action martial art movies always feel about 10 minutes too long for me. The last 10 minutes are usually like, okay, we've been fighting for 90 minutes. This should have ended at 90, not at 145. But the last fight sequence actually included guys wielding bicycles as weapons. So I'm like, all right, this earned those last few minutes because you got 2 guys fighting with bicycles.
Yeah, I'll take that.
And now to the movie we both saw.
Yes.
What did you think of Supergirl?
I thought it was fascinating. I thought it was fun. I thought absolutely tonally different from whatever the last Superman movie was.
Superman.
Superman. Kept it simple. Thank you. And it was very much Guardians of the Galaxy, but with just, the one person instead of the team. I thought it took chances, and I'm kind of bummed that America said no.
Sadly, that is not unexpected, as we have seen with most female-led superhero movies that weren't the first Wonder Woman or the first Captain Marvel. I enjoyed it.
Yes.
I think it is good to very good. It didn't hit great for me. I think part of that is the Tom Kingness of it, that I was not as big a fan of the comic it is based on. While I think they cleaned up a lot of the very Tom King aspects of that story, there is still the Tom King of it. I think there were at least a couple too many needle drops, but that is just sort of what I accept and I've come to expect from James Gunn's fingerprints on anything.
Hey,
And
I'll take the needle drops over the lens flare.
yeah, oh yeah, that is a very good point. And it had what was the most tolerable version of Lobo for me.
Yes, not particularly integral to the plot. No real lengthy scenes, just kind of there for spice.
And he's an asshole.
Yeah, but he's an asshole to everybody.
Yes, but there's no attempt to, like, oh, he's an asshole with a heart of gold. No.
Nah.
His code is I only kill people for money. That is exactly how that character should be portrayed.
He does say he's also a man of his word.
Yes,
Mostly.
but there's no attempt, I don't hurt women and children and orphans, and I am fine with the Lobo who he takes a contract and he will follow it to the end, and you don't hurt his space dolphins, because if you hurt his space dolphins, he will myrtleize you.
Don't take his bike.
Yep, don't take his bike, don't touch the space dolphins, and you're okay. That is the closest thing a Lobo should have to a redeeming anything. He was created as a parody of 80s anti-heroes, and that is how he should remain. He was created as a joke character. Keith Giffen, co-creator of Lobo, was always frustrated when people tried to take him seriously. This is not what he was designed to be. He was designed to be a joke character.
Well, he's definitely not getting his own project after this reception.
No. Do we know, is Clayface set in this continuity, in the Batman continuity, or is it just its own thing?
I do believe it is in the James Gunn universe,
Okay.
which is an interesting approach.
I'm glad that this universe is taking swings.
But they gotta connect, and they gotta connect with people who aren't us. They gotta connect with everybody else.
I think Clayface has a good shot at it. This year, especially, in the year of Obsession and Backrooms, a weird body horror, super villainy kind of movie feels very much of the zeitgeist in this particular moment.
I saw, and you mentioned it earlier with the female led pictures. I saw some people trying to make some grand conclusions, and I wonder if the only conclusion that we might have, and this is after it's already been said, with Marvel's box office hurting as well, maybe folks are just tired of these movies.
Maybe. I think people might be tired of trying to expand the worlds.
Yeah.
Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, they're always going to work. But I wonder if we're out of the time where Guardians of the Galaxy is going to work, bring in such an unknown quantity. The thing that I had thought for a while was that people had gotten kind of tired of the deeply interconnectedness of it. That you couldn't see a Marvel movie without having seen all the Marvel movies before that for it to make sense. But clearly, if Supergirl didn't do well, then that's not at issue because you needed to know nothing going into Supergirl.
And like I said, it's too bad because It's not a bad movie.
No, it is by no means a bad movie. It's a good movie. I like the design work. I liked the performances. I thought Millie Alcock was excellent as Supergirl. I thought she did a really good
Absolutely.
job. But yeah,
Now, I have not read the King book. Did they deviate greatly from the story?
the book is considerably longer, obviously. So there's a lot more set pieces. They added at least one thing that I thought made the movie work a little better in some places. And there's at least one thing where I'm of two minds on. Let's quickly say hi to our guest. It's Patreon backer and friend of the show, Matt McThorn. Hey, Matt.
Hey guys,
McThorny.
how's it going?
Good. Have you seen Supergirl?
I did. I saw it over the
Okay.
weekend.
So I don't. I didn't want to
Yeah,
say
no, it's cool.
anything.
This has been interesting. Yeah.
Because the human trafficking aspect
Hmm.
is not in the book. They
Really? That's
Yes.
interesting.
Yeah, they added that because in there not marauders, what do they call them?
Brigands, which is
Brigands.
equally generic.
Yes, are just chaos monsters. They just travel from world to world and just destroy shit. But the other difference is the end.
Hmm.
Kara does not kill Krem of the Yellow Hills at the end of the comic.
That's a big change.
She puts him in the Phantom Zone. The very end of the book is flash forward decades later, and Krem has spent years in the Phantom Zone, more or less atoning. And in the end, Ruthie chooses to let him be released. And so it becomes this thing about redemption by the end. While here, Kara just kills a motherfucker.
That would have been a much more interesting movie.
I wonder if there's story engine for the universe stuff in that she's willing to cross the line that Clark isn't.
And that's what I said. Mi compadre's compadre, his wife Kristen was complaining that, like, okay, if Ruthie didn't kill him, why did Kara just go off and kill him? Well, I was pretty much surmising the same thing. Like, okay, we're trying to do an in-universe clear distinction between Kara and her cousin. Like this Superman, oh my God, he was sweet Jesus, he would never, ever, 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 under any circumstances, kill anyone or think about killing someone. The closest he would get to thinking about it, it would just make him panic and sad, and he would be so beside himself.
I think they also, by adding the like trafficking Mad Max Fury Road brides of it all, they made Krem especially, but most of the brigands, like they made them characters that you kind of, not to say you can't do that with, but for especially a not a comic book audience, like your average action movie audience, they're not going to necessarily accept we let him go. Like that's something you might see in a comic book, but you're not really going to fly the same way in an action movie, which is what these movies, for better and often worse, are operating in that sphere.
It's funny now that I'm thinking about it. Both of the movies I saw this weekend, the villains were human traffickers, and you get the satisfaction of watching human traffickers get myrtleized tremendously.
Oh, speaking of human traffickers getting myrtleized, did you see that's going to be the next Jason Statham movie?
Oh yes, Mutiny.
Yes. Oh my God, my ass is in there the very first week. I'm so ready.
Listen, every Jason Statham movie is the same movie, but it's a movie I enjoy.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
a movie I will watch.
This is the beekeeper at sea, the seakeeper.
Yes, yes, I am down for this.
I
100%.
can't wait. Another trailer before I forget that looked interesting. Whale Fall?
Oh,
That book that is based on is phenomenal. I'm really excited to see what they do with the movie.
Yeah, I picked up the book in like the Amazon Prime avalanche of book sales. I can't believe that's a book. I have no idea how that thing's gonna read. I'm excited to get to it.
It's good. It's good shit. It's a really excellent book.
sadly, this week, it is a vast wasteland of cinematic releases.
Did you guys at the shows you went to, did you get the trailer for the Tom Cruise feature that was the
Isn't that the
majority of it?
weirdest
It's
goddamn
very
trailer
strange.
ever?
Yeah, it's
Oh.
super strange.
Yeah, Laura and I are watching it, and it ends, and the only thing I thought of that I leaned over to her, so they hadn't filmed enough of the movie to get an actual trailer out by the time they needed this. So they just made a trailer for Tom Cruise in 13 seconds of this movie.
I can only imagine the movie is him hilariously playing off type.
It's gonna be something because, man, that was a weird trailer.
I don't think people need a reminder that Tom Cruise has been in a lot of movies. No matter what age you are, like it's very, very strange trailer.
And they hit everything.
Mhm.
Like they had Far and Away, the 3-hour epic of him and Nicole Kidman as Irish immigrants in New York in the 1800s, a movie that I thought I was the only person who had ever seen when I saw it on basic cable when I was in my teens. Like it is
Was
a
Eyes
movie.
Wide Shut in there?
No, there was Vanilla Sky, but there wasn't Eyes Wide Shut. I wonder if the Kubrick estate would be like, oh fuck no,
Get out of here.
no, we're not letting you use our movie.
My last movie and or book thought for our Run Club book club for this month, we're reading Jaws.
Oh,
And the book, every character in it so far is bad and really racist. Surprising amount of racism in Jaws.
it's funny. I've never read Jaws, although it did remind me that I believe it was Benchley's wife was on the board at the first theater I worked at for an extended period of time, and I just got a LinkedIn you may know for someone who I worked with there. And I was like, wait, they're seriously mentioning that on their LinkedIn? And I looked and it's like, okay, this is just something where this profile has been left fallow for a decade because you tend to not mention the job that you were fired for after you were caught having embezzled $240,000.
Oh, come on. Come on. That's not like that was $250,000 or anything. It was under $250,000.
Where you were convicted and went to jail for multiple years for
Ooh.
embezzling $240,000. And not from the theater, but from Princeton University.
Ooh.
Yeah. The theater was on the university campus, and while it's its own independent organization, the university had connections and various aspects that had to do with the theater, and this guy embezzled nearly $250,000. And I was like, wait, how is this LinkedIn profile? Like, wait, is he like, no, okay, it's just an old profile that sits there, but I'm like, man, no, I am not going to say I know this person, thank you.
But yeah, the mayor is into real estate, and apparently the mafia is his silent partner. The mafia pulls some strings in town, and what's Dreyfus's character's
Hooper.
name? Hooper, that's right. Hooper's gonna come into town and fuck Brody's wife.
Yeah, I was
So
gonna say
that's gonna be
he's
fun.
stripping Brody's wife. So,
Yeah.
but
Looking
Yeah.
forward to that.
it is again possibly one of those weird cases, rare edge cases where the movie improves upon the book.
Hey guys, let's just focus on the shark. We can let all this other stuff go.
As much as the movie is, in retrospect, has its problematic aspects, the book of Forrest Gump is one of the worst books I have ever read.
You know, there's a real reason Winston Groom only wrote like 2 things, and the 2 things were Forrest Gump.
Yeah, I remember getting the book on tape. That's how long ago I listened to it. It's like, wow, this is awful. He's complete, like, racist, redneck, terrible, and it includes a whole thing with he goes into space and
Yep.
space shuttle crashes with him and a chimp. And if you think the movie is a problem, oh, that book is so much worse.
Ernest without the charm.
Wow, yeah, that is actually a pretty good description. But yeah, comics.
Comics.
Yeah.
Yes.
So This week, Matt requested a story that was a Greg Rucka Ra's al Ghul story. So we're pairing that with a couple of odd little race themed and related stories. But let's start with the main requested story, which is Evolution. This is Detective Comics Volume 1, numbers 743 to 746 and 750. The writer is Greg Rucka, with pencils by Sean Martinbraugh and John Watkiss, inks by Steve Mitchell, colors by Wildstorm FX, letters by Todd Klein and Bill Oakley, and edited by Denny O'Neil and Joseph Illage. The cover dates are April to July and November of the year 2000. As Gotham is coming out of the no man's land, and the criminal underworld is starting to stabilize, a new player enters to throw everything off. Whisper Adair and Kyle Abbott, servants of Ra's al Ghul, have arrived in the city, peddling a new drug that promises immortality. What is Ra's plan? Why is he dealing drugs? And what can Batman do to stop it? So we are starting here literally the second month out of no man's land. So we are fresh out of the NML. We're not completely in place setting mode, because we did have at least one issue to do the place setting before this, but things are still really fresh from the chaos that was no man's land. And this is Rucka's first ongoing comics gig. Before this, it had all been miniseries or chapters of no man's land.
This is his first arc?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. One issue before this.
What a
742
bastard.
is a
What
one-off.
an absolute bastard.
Also a really good issue.
Yeah, 742. I was saying to Matt that someday when we need a week where we don't have a ton of reading, I'm just going to pick 3 one-offs from Rucka's run, because he did a bunch of one-off stories, and I think 742, 747, and I think it's 755 might be the 3, because it's the first issue out, the Montoya one, and Jim Gordon's retirement party.
Oh yeah, that one's really good.
Yeah. And there are other good one-offs throughout the run too, but man. Yeah, this is his first lengthy arc as an ongoing writer. Before this, the only Bat stuff he'd done were Chronicles shorts and arcs of No Man's Land. And here we go right into this, and Rucka finds a way to blend both a very traditional mob gangs at war story with Ra's al Ghul, his cults, and a crazy immortality monster drug. And it works.
Oh, it's just good. I'm angry. It's so good. It doesn't try to overcomplicate the story. Even with all of the drug stuff and the mutations and all of this, kind of craziness, it stays focused on the relationships. It stays focused on Gordon and Batman and Ra's and introducing this new character, Whisper. It doesn't get bogged down in dialogue. It doesn't get bogged down in monologue. It just moves and moves and moves, and it's just a good read.
It finds a way to introduce the new status quo in Gotham's underworld. Again, without it being too weighed down by it, because other writers, you could have had, okay, now we need to spend a lot of time with each of these mobs and make sure you know all these characters before we start killing them off. And it's like, no, you just focused on the couple who are going to be important, and then you just kind of moved along and you bumped off the ones who you needed to. And it sets the stage, as memory serves, for the Huntress miniseries that we covered ages ago. Because the Mafia Don Galante is a character that pops up in Cry for Blood. Rucka is already tying the mob families, the Mafia stuff together.
even past like the Rucka run, there are gangs introduced here. Like the Burnley Town Massive is like a player in war games. Like there is stuff that continues on from this for years, just in setting up the underworld of Gotham.
Yeah, and the triads, I'm
Hmm.
pretty sure there had been aspects of the triads with the King Snake stuff back pre No Man's Land. Like King
Hmm.
Snake was always either working with or butting heads with various aspects of the triads since he operated out of Hong Kong. So Rucka knew where to pull this stuff from, again, without us needing to spend a ton of time and or know any of that stuff here or moving forward. And I think this is probably the last story that heavily features Mackenzie Bach. Sadly, I mean, he gets his promotion here
Hmm.
to captain, and I know he gets promoted again to chief when Akins becomes commissioner after Officer Down. But sadly, we really don't see Mac after this. But it's nice to know that you stuck it out through the no man's land, so you got a good position afterwards. I'd forgotten, not necessarily forgotten, but I hadn't thought about just how fresh the wound for Gordon of Sarah's death would have been here, since this is 740 Detective 743 and she's murdered in 741.
Oh yeah, that's pretty recent.
Yeah. If this is, they said 3 months after No Man's Land, she was murdered on Christmas Day. So 6 days before Gotham was made part of the United States. So she has been gone for less than 4 months. And the first issue out, the one before this, is really a Jim Gordon story as much as a Batman story. And it's also kind of laying the foundation for Officer Down and Gordon's retirement. I can think of very few stories where Gordon seems quite as tired as he does here.
Mm.
And just the moment when he asks Batman if it ever gets any easier, and Batman's response of being, no, it never does. But yes, we also do have Whisper Adair and Kyle Abbott, the Weresnake and Werewolf, respectively.
Alchemical Weresnake and Werewolf.
Yes, exactly. Comics, everybody. I love it. And I love the fact that Rucka expands the world of Ra's al Ghul.
Mm.
Because so few writers, it's, okay, Ra's and Talia and Ubu and a shit ton of faceless ninja. You'd think that Ra's al Ghul would have these kind of lieutenants. And here it's like, great, we've met these people who are devoted to the ideal of Ra's al Ghul.
I do not work for him. I serve him.
Right. And we see down the line that she serves him. Because when Nyssa takes over after Death and the Maidens, the next time we see Whisper, she's no longer working for the League of Assassins and the House of Al Ghul. Spoilers for Will, who hasn't read it. Yeah, she's one of the Grand Mistresses of the Religion of Crime in 52.
Oh, interesting.
So she goes to another crazy evil cult after she leaves Ra's.
Well, if you're a spitting cobra woman, I mean, you're not going to go work at Macy's.
And you're going to bring your werewolf Enamorata. Like, he clearly is like in love with her, and she is like, yeah, okay, good puppy.
Well, unless he's bad, and then he gets it in the face.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So, what are the rules for this particular immortality? It's not invulnerability. You got to keep taking the goop.
It seems to be more longevity than immortality. It seems from what Bruce said, I took it as you probably age exceptionally slowly. Like it keeps you roughly at the same age because Bruce says you could see the cell degradation. So I think as long as you're taking the drug, maybe you age. Again, this is bad math, but it's just for every year you live, you're aging maybe a week. But it also will transform you into some sort of animal.
It feels
And
like
you're
it's
also
definitely drawing.
susceptible to injuries.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just basically slows your aging to a crawl.
Yeah, it feels like it's drawing on like Philosopher's Stones. Again, the alchemy of it all with immortality being so much of the stuff that those guys were looking for.
Yeah, the elixir of life and all that.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, there's a money-making aspect to it, but
Mhm.
really it's just about chaos. You release something like that and people will tear each other apart to get it.
Because especially where it's revealed that, Raish's ultimate plan is to take the immortality out of it. This is just a very addictive drug that turns you into a weird creature, which I don't know. This was coming out alongside Tower of Babel, so I feel like it does dovetail with that plan a bit, where both are trying to, debase humanity down to savagery so that Raish can pick up the pieces.
It almost feels like this was sort of the initial plan.
Mhm.
Then it didn't work, so now we're going to go to the Tower of Babel plan. Okay, that
Turn
didn't
off
work.
language. Yeah.
So let's go back to this plan and just accelerate it.
hmm
That he could have initially given out the drug that actually did do the immortality and had people fight over it, and then he's like, nah, you know what? I'm going to tell them that makes them immortal, but no, it's just going to turn them into were monsters, and they're just going to destroy the world. Go team.
Cronenberged it.
Yeah. Just bringing up 750, one thing that absolutely I loved in that issue, Martin Brau's Talia.
hmm
She looks so different and so distinct from Whisper. Her features are actively Arabic. Her nose, her the way her hair is, she doesn't look like just a white lady with slightly altered skin and eyes. He
hmm
actually draws her like someone of Arabic descent, which very few artists do. And especially when she's on panel so much with Whisper Adair and with the limited color palette of this detective run,
hmm
if you have characters that look too much alike without the colors to differentiate them, it can
hmm
get dicey. But here she looks very different, and I want to call out how good I thought that worked.
What did you guys think about the coloring in this? I really loved it. I thought it was very distinctive.
This run does the muted
hmm
color palette, I think, up through practically the end. I think Murderer Fugitive might be back in a traditional
Mm.
comics color palette, but definitely up through the end of the stuff. Since this book ends with Murderer Fugitive and then one epilogue arc to Murderer
hmm
Fugitive. But I think it gives it a really distinct feel. And I like that. Especially for a book that is so much about crime, it feels like not black and white, but it has that black and white, even if it's green and white or red and white vibe to it.
The style pairs very well with a back to basics Batman mob story. Like,
hmm
to me, a different era, different sort of story, absolutely, but it reminded me of a different art style, that we had in First Night, in that this just kind of like sets this apart as this is a very different story than all of No Man's Land. It's a visual signifier for, a new status quo. And I thought it really worked. Although I did have a slight preference, for whatever reason, over the red over the green. I don't know why that is.
And black, white, and red has been a ongoing thing so many different comics have done as a color combination. So there's probably something there.
Mm. And the end of this is also this is the last story where Talia is at Raish's
hmm
side. She never comes back after this. Talia, from here, we get Talia as the head of LexCorp. And from there, it's Death and the Maidens and Nyssa, and then Talia on her own pretty much
hmm
after that. And I think Rucka does a really, really good job with the scenes between her and Bruce and explaining where her mind is and just her flat out saying, I'm sick of being caught between the two of you. I love you, but I can't be part of this game you two are playing anymore. And it's a beautiful ending with Bruce just seeing her going to the plane, expecting her to be there, and her on horseback. The only problem, and it's not really a problem with this story, but it's a continuity problem, is in theory, Damian should be alive at this point. And that's always weird because we know they accelerated his aging, but we don't know how accelerated his aging was. And it really depends on, like, various writers have seemed to establish different timelines with that.
In Batman and Son, my read on it is that his conception could have happened at any point, and then he is basically force grown very quickly, like in a test tube, to the point where, he's, I don't know, whenever Talia thought he was old enough to start training, and that could be as little as as old as 10, who knows? I don't know, maybe he's like one of the Star Wars clones where he's got really sped up aging situation. But
yeah, because
yeah.
There's never been a clear established point as to when Damian was born. And we know that he was raised initially around Raish. So Damian should theoretically be alive right now because this is, let's say, 2.5 to 3 years of comic book time before Batman and Son. Because you've got the solid year that is 52. And Batman and Son is pretty much right after 52. Weeks after 52. After Bruce's return. And so you got the entirety of... Yeah, the timeline doesn't work. I was going to say you have the entirety of the Luthor administration in there, too.
You could draw it out, if they... Again, it's leaning into the sci-fi of it all perhaps too much, but... If you have, because I don't think Talia carried him
No,
waste of time. But in her mind, but you could end up with a situation where he is being force grown to various increments in this, taken out for bits of training, at points maybe meets his grandfather, then is back in the tank to age up a couple years in 6 months. I don't know. It's the tricky issue of a character not being invented yet.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, that's really neither here nor there. That's me just... Any Ra's al Ghul story now from a certain period leading into Batman and Son is well, where is
Damian?
Right, how does Damian existence figure into this story when Bruce and Talia and Ra's are at odds?
Anytime Damian's not on page, people should be asking, where's Damian?
The one other thing that I do want to bring up, because it's something that might have been mentioned in the first issue, but is really drawn out here, and is something that gets a good amount of play in this particular era, the idea that Gotham looks on Bruce as someone who left. That he was a DZ, a deserter.
That's so much of the early part of this run too, is the tensions there in Gotham.
Yeah. And the introduction of Mayor Dickerson, who is, as we talk about the rule of Gotham mayors, this one's corrupt and incompetent, but he's high on the corrupt scale. But fortunately, the Joker's going to, murder his ass in soft targets over in Gotham Central. So he's only around for a little while longer before Joker takes care of him.
The constituency certainly doesn't seem to like him.
No, and that is a delightful moment with Bruce just spilling the wine on him, and Lucy's like, "You did that on purpose."
Well, yeah, so I can just barge into his office whenever I want.
Clever
Two
boy.
steps ahead always.
Last thing that I just want to say, I love the fact that Bruce is like, "Yeah, I know Ra's al Ghul has 36 safe houses in Gotham. This is 32, and this is where I find them."
Do you think Bruce can just size up a guy and like know his suit jacket size.
Yeah, probably.
He can
Or
also get Oracle to like, find whatever tailor he usually uses and just grab it from there.
Alfred could.
Hmm.
I almost could guarantee you that if Bruce needed to, he just, even though this is the period, as Bruce points out, where Alfred is with Tim at boarding school, he just called Alfred and was like, can you just look at the photo of the mayor and can you give me his measurements? And Alfred's like, oh, yes, sir. Boom, boom, boom. And Alfred just knows. A good gentleman's gentleman knows.
46 regular, sir.
Yup. Boy, that was a weird period. I'd forgotten that in my head, Alfred went to stay with Tim after Bruce and Alfred have that falling out in Officer Down. I'd forgotten that he was already with Tim at boarding school at that point.
Alfred just like crashed in the dorm.
It's a boarding school. It's ritzy. Tim was not the only kid who had staff.
That's very ritzy.
Yeah. He gets sent to this school by his father as basically punishment because Tim becomes the poster child for a kid who snuck into no man's land. And so it becomes a whole controversy. And so it's like, you need discipline. So I'm sending you to Brentwood Academy. Brentwood Academy, darling. Anyone have anything else they want to bring up?
That silence means it's time to put Detective Comics number 743 to 746 and 750 because that arc was clearly not done. Evolution on the big board.
We are at 738 stories on the big board.
God damn.
Number 1 is Post-Crisis Origin of Batman, Batman Year 1.
Still at a sexy 69 is Batman Annual number 4 from Volume 3 every day.
At 175 is Suit of Evil Souls, the Batman Ragman team up. At 350 is Who's Scared, the Ace the Bat Hound Scooby-Doo team up from Scooby-Doo Team Up.
Coming in real high, not nearly as close to the bottom as it once was. At 420, it's Batman 12 to 17, Batwoman, Wonder Woman, World's Finest.
At 525 is Batman Man-Bat, the Subterraneans, that absolutely bonkers series.
Oh, Man-Bat has a whole fucking family down there.
And all the way at the bottom, 3 Jokers.
Shit.
I'm going to say, just as an opening bid, I would put this above 175, above Suit of Evil Souls.
Yeah. If every single Batman comic book I read for the rest of my life was some variation of these story elements, I'd be like, all right, cool.
I'm looking for a ceiling.
150 is Batman and Robin Blackest Night.
That's Dick and Kate go to England to try to dip Bruce Wayne into a Lazarus pit, and it turns out it's not really Bruce Wayne.
Whoops.
I think we're in the right neighborhood around there.
What do you think about Lonely Place of Living at 152?
It's rough because it's got so much good in it. I love the Bruce and Tim interactions, the Bat family interactions, the fact that we're reestablishing Tim's origin. I even like the Tim Drake from the future, a dark Tim, and Tim having to face that. But there's also the Mr. Oz of it all, which is why that story doesn't wind up even a little bit higher, because Mr. Oz. How about right above that? Below Tech 1027, above Lonely Place of Living.
Sure. The new 152.
Yeah,
Very strong.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Our second story of the night is Empire of Shadows. This is the Batman Superman Authority special. The writer is Philip Kennedy Johnson, with pencils by Ben Templesmith and Trevor Hairsine, inks by Templesmith, Scott Hanna, and Jonathan Glapian, colors by Templesmith and Rain Barreto, letters by Tom Napolitano, and edited by Paul Kaminsky, Ariana Turturro, and Ben Abernathy. The cover date is January of 2022. From out of the Dark Multiverse, the Empire of Shadows, ruled by the House of Al Ghul, is preparing to take its fascistic reign to Earth Zero. and then to all other Earths. Batman must team with Superman's new team, the Authority, to stop them from reaching their Earth before it falls. While technically Ra's al Ghul is not in here, his presence is obviously felt, and I kind of wanted to go with it just because that last page reveal is a really great reveal of the heir to Ra's al Ghul in this dark world. And from what we know about the Dark Multiverse, makes a lot of sense with all of the other dark Batmen that come out of the Dark Multiverse.
In a world of infinite possibilities, there's one where it worked out for Ra's.
Or worked out to enough of a degree that he got his heir. I kind of have a bad feeling like it didn't work out for Ra's in the sense that evil Batman, heir to Ra's al Ghul, probably killed his ass.
Batman waits for no man, especially when that man likes his immortality pits.
Yep. This is one of my favorite uses of multiple artists on a comic. It does such a good job of two very distinct artists, two very distinct worlds, and getting an artist whose style works really well with the dark, twisted world. Ben Temple-Smith was a great choice to draw Earth al Ghul.
And they give it an explanation in the text, which I really liked. Like, oh, hey, science and physics are all just fucked up here.
I also love that this is the first actual meeting between Batman and Midnighter. And Midnighter is such a whiny bitch. It's so funny. He's so petty.
This version of the Authority was one of the like funnest elements of this era of at DC. Like Superman having his own Black Ops team is already wild enough, and it being an Authority team complete with Midnighter and Apollo, like
you'd think it wouldn't work. It doesn't. As a concept, it doesn't sound like it should work. Superman should not be running a Black Ops team. Superman should not be hanging out with Manchester Black, a guy who has attempted to murder him repeatedly. Yet it works. Philip Kennedy Johnson makes it make sense. He makes it work. The War-World saga, that entire period that comes out of this, is one of the better modern Superman runs. The idea that of him going to War-World and becoming the unbloodied sword, the gladiator who would not take a life, is great. And it's such a weird collection of characters between Apollo Midnighter and Manchester Black and Natasha Irons Steel and the Enchantress and Light Ray and Omak from the Tangent universe who are somehow stranded in this universe. It's a weird hodgepodge of characters, but it was a team cobbled together by Grant Morrison. So the ideas are clearly bonkers, but they know what they're doing when they create a weird ass team of bonkers characters together.
It's very Seven Soldiers in that way.
Yes.
Lot of that DNA in there.
I like Batman resigning himself to having to work with the Authority. And Clark establishing, you trust me that they're ready. And there are maybe 5 people on the face of the earth who could say that, and Bruce would agree. And Clark, Diana, Dick, Tim, probably.
At this point, yeah.
Not Jason.
No. Jason could twist his arm. You know, you bring up the "you let me die" and well, not let me die, but you know, that's how he'd put it.
Yeah, exactly. But Superman just says it, and it's like, okay, I guess I gotta go with it. And it is another story in some ways that blends high weird with something. I mean, nowhere near as grounded as Evolution with a mob war, but it blends, universe hopping with Batman, Superman, and this team fighting an evil fascist government, which feels more grounded every day.
Yes. It's also something that makes sense for, one, what they're getting ready to be doing in Action Comics, but also previous versions of the Authority. That is something that whether or not how much of an Authority team this is beyond the name debatable, but like it definitely is of a piece with what they did in the Wildstorm books too.
Oh, yeah. I think it's the second of the original arcs where they fight an alien fascist government.
Hmm.
Yeah, so it absolutely works. And while we don't get a ton of them, I like the three children of Bruce and
Yes.
Talia are all interesting and distinct
Hmm.
characters. Like, okay, you got the mage, you've got the lunkhead in the armor, and you have the clever, manipulative, the one who is very much Talia's daughter.
Hmm.
And she will come back before the end of the Johnson run. There's an arc where she makes it back to Earth Zero.
They don't feel like Damian clones, which I think is also nice because there's that temptation with an alternate universe character that kind of is close to the same thing to just make it be the same, like the same character. And these aren't. They feel distinct. They're believably Bruce and Talia's kids, but they don't feel like Damian.
In reading this the second time, knowing the twist, all the dialogue makes
Hmm.
perfect sense knowing who is sitting on the throne. That when you read it the first time, it's like, okay, well, it's Raish, and he's old and decrepit and can't do anything. And so Talia is really running the empire. And reading it the first time, the dialogue makes sense that way. But knowing that, oh, it's yet another Dark Multiverse evil Batman, it's all laid out there. Even the dialogue between Janan, the female offspring, and Bruce at the end when they're fighting in the Fortress of Solitude, it's like, oh yeah, that reads perfectly both ways,
Hmm.
which is clever because it can be real easy to either give away the twist or put too many false trails in so it doesn't make sense when you get the big twist.
I think there's also that I was double checking this. The art also plays into that because you don't see that their armor is basically Batman bat suits until they cross over into Earth Zero. It's entirely in keeping with like League of Assassins stuff. Like, yeah, they have the giant bats, but like Ra's has ninja man bats. That's fine until you actually see them in the real world. That is the first reveal that there's something else going on for sure, you know?
Although there's that one weird moment or weird in the book where Apollo sees the frieze in the temple in the
Yes,
Babylon
true.
citadel
Yes.
of the people bowing before the giant bat.
Yes. Yes.
But again, you could read that any number of ways because you know these are the children of Talia. So
Hmm.
you could assume that one way or the other, they are the children of Bruce and Talia. It's
Hmm.
just Raish did away with Bruce, or Bruce died, or whatever. And now it's just an old Raish on the throne with Talia running things really as the kids suggest. I like that this does a really good job of maintaining and playing with a mystery.
And Batman, evil or not, still wins in the end. He, does the big turn and then points out, like, yeah, this was to teach you young whippersnappers a lesson. I enjoyed that.
A great design of the older Batman and the armor and everything. He looks really friggin' cool.
I'm also trying to this might be, there might have come back. This does continue. I don't remember the name of the book, but there's the jumping out of, not death metal, but metal, the book with the kid who can jump multiverses.
Sideways.
Yes, thank you. That picks up just the little bits of that where, it is technically a dark multiverse book, so it is picking up some of that too, which is nice.
Yeah, the fusion art and all that, which
Yes,
made its first
yes.
appearance. I think in Sideways.
I did not read Sideways, I only read the dark multiverse thing, but my understanding is that it was the linking those two, but yeah,
The fusion arts are
they're no
D-
watchers.
yeah, exactly. DC is never and the monitors weren't the watchers either. It's like, okay, you got just don't try. Marvel got that one. You've never have been able to quite do that. And then when they tried to tease at Yeah, I was about to mention Countdown. Nothing came of Countdown, so we can just ignore Countdown. It was like, okay, we're gonna make the
What's the
Atom.
Linkara line? We should do something. Should we do something?
Ugh. Yeah, the idea that Jason, the Atom, Kyle Rayner, and Donna Troy would police the multiverse, like that was quickly forgotten from the end of that
Mhm.
book, but everything was forgotten from Countdown. And it was there at the beginning, but I love the final scene of Midnighter fighting the two Al Ghul kids and just asking them when he notices them in the bat armor. And it's like, I don't get it. All he is a guy with some gadgets. I've got all this cool stuff. Nobody seems to be wanting to be me. And Bruce coming out and showing them exactly why everybody wants to be Batman.
Midnight doesn't have a sword.
This is a world I would enjoy seeing more of.
Hmm.
A lot of those Dark Multiverse universes, like, okay, you got your one story, and great, that's the story that you know why Batman became this Batman in that world, and you're good to go. But the idea of the conquering of this world, the idea of a Batman who is the heir to Ra's al Ghul, there's so much story potential in that world. But at the same time, maybe it's better that it's just left there as story potential. Sometimes leaving you wanting more is the way to go.
It does seem like a more grounded, dark Batman than a lot of them. Like next week, we have a very different take on an alternate Batman that is much more out there.
Yes. But here, this one feels like a natural extension of a specific moment. This is Son of the Demon. Bruce chooses to just be the heir to Ra's al Ghul, and things go wrong from there.
And it's not like it's a crazy thought. I mean, it is because you're aligning yourself with a near immortal madman, but you could see a more damaged version of Bruce talking himself into it. It's like, okay, I can still fight crime in Gotham. I will have more resources. I will have an army of people who I can keep in line. I'll make them good. The League of Assassins won't assassin anymore. But things have a way of getting away from you sometimes.
It's the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Yeah.
At least Bruce got to bang a lot.
Apparently. Plenty of little Al Ghuls out there.
Well, on that note, it's time for Batman, Superman, The Authority Special, Empire of Shadows on the big board.
We're above the median, for sure.
Be about what, 375, give or take?
Ish, yeah. It's 375, Sisters in Arms, Sarah Essen, Vicky Vale, and Selena Kyle fight human traffickers.
300 is Catch as Catch Can.
Okay, so that's the Joker has a mad scientist make Catwoman evil again at the end of the pre-crisis era. Baron Davis, fun story, nice to look at. This is weightier than that.
Well, what about 250? Detective Comics 893, 897, or 983, 987 on the outside.
Brian Hill, the origin of the new iteration of the Outsiders is the arc right after the Tynion run ends. For sure, I mean, right below that is Going Sane. I don't think this beats Going Sane. So, oh, you know what I'm looking at. And you know what I'm...
You are. Of course you are.
I think I need the two of you to weigh in because my instinct is it goes below Blades, but I'm willing to accept that if you both consider it above, I will more than accept that.
Look, Blades is a fairly accessible story. It's fun. This is fairly dense. And look, I knew Midnighter and Apollo and that guy in the red tights and the underwear. The rest of this was foggy in spots. And the Batman guy. I knew him too. if I had to pick, I would probably reread Blades again. So I'd put this above Blades. Or
Yeah.
excuse me, I'd put Blades above this.
I do think it's better than Hammer of Justice, though.
Okay.
Is this better than Batman?
How about in between Better Than Batman and Hammer of Justice?
All right, the new 262.
All right. And this is our first Philip Kennedy Johnson on the board. Not that he's written a ton of Batman, but he just wrapped that the Batman and Robin run. And Batman has shown up in some other stuff he's written. Nice to see that we still have creators that we haven't touched on popping up on the old big board. Actually, speaking of, we're about to have another who's got some other Batman work for our final story. And our final story of the night is Happy Birthday, Damian. This is Truth and Justice number 6, or the digital chapters 16 to 18. The writer is Andrew Aiden, with art by Junie Ba, colors by Nick Filardi, letters by Aditya Bhattacharya, and edited by Andrew Marino. The cover date is September of 2021. On his birthday, Damian Wayne is kidnapped by ancient Hittite gods and brought before his grandfather, Ra's al Ghul, who offers him a special birthday present, immortality, and a seat at his side as ruler of the world. Just the first thing I want to say, just straight out of the gate, Junie Ba is one of my favorite artists in comics right now. His art is stylized and just so cool. And he does such great character. There are just so many good facial expressions and such good body language in all of his work. Whether it's this or Monkey Meat, his creator-owned book and image, or the Boy Wonder miniseries he did, or any of the other work he's done, his stuff just knocks me out every time. The writer on this story, Andrew Aiden, this is his one of only 2 credits at DC, the other being a digital comic, but he was the co-writer with the late John Lewis on John Lewis's autobiographical books.
Right. Yeah.
And those things won all of the awards.
Yes. He was digital director and policy advisor to John Lewis, as well as the co-writer on the March books. Even though his mainstream comic credits are, he doesn't have a ton of them. He's got some cred there, doesn't he?
Which reminds me, you remember when Charles Soule was a practicing immigration attorney?
Yes.
People in comics can have weird other lives.
Yeah, he wrote a whole bunch of Daredevil spinning right out of that. This is a story that I think lives pretty firmly in Trifle Town. I think it's a lot of fun. I think there are some really good moments, but I think overall it is fairly kind of there.
And you can see how it got expanded into who knows the actual pedigree, but how somehow this leads to Boy Wonder for sure. But yeah, there's not a lot. Not to say there's not a lot to it. It's breezy.
Yeah. And a lot of the best aspects of it come from the art. There's a moment early on in the story after the family has not surprised Damian with his birthday party. Damian asks where his father is, and Babs just says he's out on an errand. Damian, in the background of this panel, he's in the shadows, but you can see his shoulders slump. It's like that moment is purely in the art, but it's a perfect moment. And the fist bump between Damian and Cass after Damian puts out the candles on the birthday cake with a batarang. Beautiful, beautiful art. The story isn't bad, and there are I think some really fun little dialogue moments. Tim commenting that Middle East is a colonizer term, and Cass just going, word. Or Bruce.
There was a Tim joke in here, wasn't there?
Yeah. When Bruce is talking to Damian at the end, when Damian basically has to choose between Bruce and Ra's, you're my blood, you're also my son. Barbara is my daughter. Dick and Jason, Stephanie and Cassandra, even Tim. What do you mean, even Tim? The look on Tim's face is pretty great. Again, it's in the art because Tim is clearly not really upset by it, but it is a good joke, and it's the look of Tim that makes it not. Because a different artist could have played on the Tim Damian rivalry and made Tim look angry or hurt by that. But here it's clearly, I think, even Bruce playing on that a little, and
For sure.
Tim accepting, like, even Tim. And Damian using the metaphor that he exists in the gutters. Damian being someone who is established, reads a lot of manga, reads comics. It is an appropriate metaphor for Damian to make that wouldn't have been made by one of the other Robins necessarily. Aiden knows the characters.
For sure. Yeah.
The end of chapter 1, after Damian is kidnapped and Jason just blows the party horn thing. Yeah, Jason of all people, even though how he did that through the full red hood is kind of beyond me, but
What did you think about how he writes Raish?
it is a more megalomaniacal. There's no subtlety to this particular iteration of Ra's al Ghul. I did like the interaction with Bruce. You're spoiled rich Bruce Wayne can afford to see the world in black and white. But I think a lot of it is very mustache twirly, which is not how Ra's is often portrayed. He is portrayed as someone who sees the world in shades of gray. And it seems like for saying that Bruce sees the world in black and white, Ra's seems to be pretty maniacal here.
That was a line I specifically didn't like because he refers to him as Bruce and not detective, which is a thing that Rucka pointed out and I think lovingly like alluded to. Like, yeah, the detective, Batman, the Dark Knight, hello, McFly.
Okay, that's fair.
That was a good bit in Rucka's story, and you know, I like the consistency. I like, you know, we've talked about this before, Raish on a very real level, like respecting Bruce and respecting his abilities. That's why he's called the detective.
I like the idea of the line, but I can see your point that the execution didn't quite hit. The thing that that I was of two minds of, I thought it was very funny, but I don't know how it fit with the tone. In the second chapter, the guy who Damian steals his phone, Damian steals his motorcycle, Damian steals his boat.
This poor Turkish guy just
can't win. It's cute, but this story, I think in general, does not pick its lane of its tone.
No, absolutely. That was my central complaint in reading this. Tonally, it's all over the place. It's very weird to have a story that does. It was a funny bit. I enjoyed it, not gonna lie. But you can't do that in the same story where you're asking a child, still a child, Damian still a child, to basically pick between, you know, his father and his grandfather with life-altering consequences. Like it's too heavy.
And there are ancient gods.
yes.
Yeah, but they're drawn in bright colors. They're definitely on the Disney side of ancient gods.
I liked the inclusion of, because one, like Hittite mythology is something that just is barely scratched in a lot of Western period, but especially English language stuff. Like it is very much a forgotten, like Bronze Age thing for a lot of people. But it also opens up a nitpick in that Raish is not Anatolian at all. That being brought in is interesting. Like it's fine, it works for the story, but it did kind of throw me as soon as that got introduced.
I don't think they've never exactly established where Raish is from, but
His name is Arabic. There's always the possibility that, you know, oh, whatever his name was, he is now Ra's al Ghul. But like it also is so at odds is too strong term because it ultimately is not making any kind of like this is what race is from all time forward, but it is something that stands out because it is from brief Googling while I read it because it did throw me to that point, not anything anyone had ever posited for what Raish's background is.
Yeah. The impression I've always gotten is from something like Birth of the Demon, where he seems to be from the high periods of the Islamic
Hmm.
nations.
The Safavid Caliphate or something or
Yeah.
earlier, somewhere in that, yeah.
I mean, possibly Persia, but Baghdad, like somewhere in
Hmm.
that Iran, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, like really in the heart of the colonially named Middle East, not Turkey.
Yeah, I mean it is ultimately not anything that I think dings it too much, but it did throw me a lot in that I'm curious how that was arrived at a thing.
Totally unrelated to that, but just a thing that made me happy. I think I've gotten to a point where anytime I see Alfred, it just makes me happy.
Hmm.
And it's a great moment here with him reminding them that it might not be the best idea to shout surprise at a ninja who tends to react violently to being surprised.
Hmm.
As always, Alfred, the voice of reason.
Yes.
Always.
And it does have a very sweet ending.
Yeah.
I don't think it's surprising that Bruce's errand was getting Damian a present, but that moment of Bruce saying to Damian that we're getting better at this, and then Damian hugging him, saying that we're not that bad, is very sweet. And it's in the right period where Damian and Bruce are connecting. We're not at the point where we are now, where they have really, there's a much stronger father son bond in the Williamson and Johnson Batman and
Hmm.
Robin and in the Fraction Batman. But it's so easy for writers, especially writers who are kind of doing a one off, to reset to the Damian's grumpy and Bruce doesn't know what he's doing as a dad.
Yeah.
Showing the growth of that relationship in this little story worked. And this, by the way, was a weird little anthology comic that only ran 7 issues and was mostly, I think, a tryout book of sorts.
It's what it feels like.
Yeah, because I'm trying to. I know there was a Zatanna issue and the Damien issue, a Vixen issue, and I can't remember the other
So
four. I'm looking it up.
Vixen, Superman, John Constantine, these ones, Zatan. Oh no, wait, who is that? No, Jason Todd, Batwoman,
Oh, and right, this would have been.
Zatanna. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's fascinating because I'm looking at the creators on them, and it seems like each book might have had one creator who I maybe not all of them because Junie Ba would have been pretty new at this point too. But you go back and you look at Danny Lore, who was just breaking out at this point. Jeffrey Thorne, who was just breaking out, but Jeffrey Thorne is teamed with Chris Cross, who's been
Hmm.
doing stuff with Milestone back in the '90s. So it feels like that one was a new writer with an established artist. And Brandon Easton and Janoy Lindsay on a Superman story. But yeah, it seems like it was mostly like, let's get at least one creator who is new to, if not the business, at least DC,
Hmm.
and put them on this book and see what we can get. And I'm surprised I forgot the Batwoman one because that's Grace Ellis, who's one of the creators on Lumberjanes. I would have thought I would have remembered that because I like that book. Huh. I have to go back and reread that one at some point. Again, to sum up, I think this is a perfectly fine trifle.
Hmm. It was fun.
Yeah,
I think that's a pretty good summary.
there we go.
Oh, that means it's tied. But Truth and Justice number 6. Happy birthday to Damien on the big board.
So we said Trifle Town, and Trifle Town is the mid fours to mid fives at this point, I believe. Yeah, because Joker's Comedy of Errors is 469, and that's that in Joker's Utility Belt is 464. So that is the beginning, the upper echelons of Trifle Town.
All right, let's 500 is King
King
Tut's
Tut.
tomb.
Yes.
I'd probably put this above that.
Yeah, there's more character here. 494 is, hey, you remember it's 1984? Because it's 1984, the Outsiders annual that's, from 1984.
I have in parentheses, it's 1984.
We're in the pocket here. I just need to figure out exactly where. What about right below, right below that? In between that and that weird Brave and the Bold issue where it turns out Adam Strange was the first Santa Claus and Batman was his elf.
The new 495 it is.
Okay. Well, Matt, thank you as ever for coming on the show. We always appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And that does it for this week. Next week, Patreon backer Josh Wheel is here to talk about 3 stories written by Joshua Williamson. Remember, you can support the podcast on Patreon at patreon.com/batchatwithmattandwill, where you can get shoutouts, bonus content, pick a story, and even come on the show. We'd like to thank those Patreon backers: Dan Grote, Josh Wheel, Mrs. Abigail Hartbaum, Asma Fangirl, Tony Thornley,
Go Aggies.
Sam Hopper,
Go to bed, Sam. It is very late.
John Wickham,
John, if you beautiful bubby, you.
Tim Rooney, Giorgio Sergioli, David Wheel,
World's greatest gray belt.
Alexander Wheel, Matt McThorn,
Hey, that guy, McThorny.
Dan Offer,
Danny boy, the pipes are calling.
Nate Randell, Daniel Mosley, Ross Holmes,
Mr. Random Ace.
Will Crisp,
Me compadre.
Carlos Cordova, Jordan Jennings, Charlie Etheridge Nunn, Sean Shambly, The Final Wraith,
The scariest wraith.
Kyle Still,
Still the one.
Carolyn Smith,
Sweet Caroline.
and Elle the Kaleidoscope Man
I see such wonderful things.
for their support. This show is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music/Audible, YouTube Music, Podbean, and on comicsxf.com, where new episodes drop every Thursday. You can find me on Blue Sky, where I talk about comics and other random things, and Letterboxd, where I review all the movies I watch, both at MattLaz1013.
You can find me at the good place, in the bad place, and most other places, really. At Will Nevin. Oh boy, I am pooped. I am pooped. I'm gonna get some water, take my old man pills, and then I'm gonna go to bed. Good night, Huntsville.
And be sure to visit ComicsXF at comicsxf.com or ComicsXF on Blue Sky for our weekly Friday Batchat Roundup of New Bat Books, for my other show, the ComicsXF Interview Podcast, where my longtime best friend Dan Grote and I interview comics creators, retailers, publishers, journalists, and other related tradespeople, as well as all the other stuff Will and I are writing. And stay safe out there, folks. Gotham is not a place to be after dark.